I learned from Gandhi to fight without fighting. You can live your life in 3 positions. I call them resignation, rebellion, and position. For me, Gandhi lived in the position. Likewise, Martin Luther King, Abraham Maslow, who is a transpersonal psychologist, with resignation, you have the feeling, and this perhaps also corresponds to the fact that you are hardly in control of your life. You submit to the expectations of others, you cower before their assessments, or you have simply given up because you no longer have any strength. You have adapted at the cost of losing contact with yourself. Your soul is crying, perhaps screaming in pain. You sink into apathia, which perhaps still shows on the outside in many routines or commitment to what is expected of you. Like Rilke's panther, you walk around in a cage as if the world were nothing but bars. Let's move on to rebellion. You are out of resignation. You are not doing what is expected of you. And many spend their lives as eternal rebels. But they deceive themselves because society hardly gives them any examples of the levels above rebellion, and so you are constantly against it. You do the opposite of almost everything. If the establishment that produces suffering has money, then you want to stay poor. If everyone drives a car, you only want to ride a bike for the rest of your life. If everyone works a lot, you tell yourself that life must consist of lying by the pool forever or sitting in a hut and meditating. If everyone is established and living in the West, then you have to constantly travel to the East and meditate there. Rebellion can have many faces. The main criticism of permanent rebellion is that you have forgotten or don't yet know that there is a level above rebellion. And society also steers pubescents into rebellion. Be against it, protest, constantly express your displeasure at grievances. When rebels come to me, I usually ask them to take it to the next level. What are you rebelling against? What are you angry about? What are you fighting for? I use this to completely redirect their energy, and the answers that often come from the heart are amazing. For peace, for security, we come to the position stage. Here you no longer waste your energy on the opponent. Imagine, metaphorically speaking, that you are perhaps an old lady and she wants to walk through the forest to the market to buy food. On the way, a nasty purse snatcher comes along and wants to steal her bag or rucksack. She fights back, chases the thief away, or hits him once and he tries to escape. She either quickly recovers the handbag or still has it. And now she spends hours hitting the thief or tying him up or swearing at him. Let's imagine that hours pass and she forgets to go to the market, and in the evening she might trot home hungry. From the point of view of mysticism or the monks, the rebel wastes his actual lifetime and life energy with rebellions. He forgets that he actually wanted to go to the market, or was never shown as a child or teenager what is really worth living for. Instead, he has been shown many enemies and enemy images of what he can be against. And then he is proud to be stuck in this phase. From the point of view of mysticism, you then make a fatal mistake as an eternal rebel. You pay too much attention to your opponent. If you observe it closely, you will realize that where you direct your attention becomes strong. It thrives, it grows, and now you see the trick of those who make you a rebel. They are fooling you. They tempt you, like the old lady in our story, to keep hitting the thief or to keep chasing him. You then make the mistake of saying, first the outside world has to improve, and then I can have peace. Yes, that's what most people say here. But tell me, how much control do you have over the world if you don't even have control over your own thoughts, feelings, and actions? Do you think you could even control, coerce, or force another person? Your strongest position to fight by not fighting is your position. You fight by not fighting. You take the path of non-violent resistance. Like water, it just keeps flowing. It cannot be stopped. You channel your main energy into what you want. You do it. You start. No matter what the world looks like, no matter how others annoy you, how much hate mail do you think I get now too? Now I could spend all my time lecturing people, putting things right, convincing them that they're stuck in their projection. Then I would lose an incredible amount of energy. The most important thing is to always ask yourself, what am I fighting for? What am I angry about? What do I hate? Yes, there are enough reasons for rebels and rebels to hate. You have been inflicted with heaps of pain. But by beating up your opponent now because he has caused you pain or frightened you, do you think you will feel better? Who feels better shortly after the moment of revenge? Your pain is still there and not healed. Get into the position. Ask yourself, what am I fighting for? What am I fighting for? Why am I harboring thoughts of revenge? And you come to the very simple, basic questions. You come to the actual values that are worth living for as a human being. You fight for happiness. And the crazy thing is that when you observe your mind and your feelings and your will, you see that what you have been fighting for on the outside has long been inside you. It is your innermost being. It has always been you. You just haven't been told. You are love. You are generosity. You are self-care. When your mind is functioning again after all the damage and you have repaired it, when your heart has woken up from its fossilization and when your will has freed itself from the shackles of the judgments, good, bad, right, wrong, then you discover that you are a wonderful being. And then you are happy when others confirm this to you on the outside, but they are just dessert. And from then on, you have access to the great visions of humanity. If you simply start to live them in your area, then others will join you because you are simply setting an example for them. It works. You don't need to change the outside world first. You simply start. That is the way of Gandhi, of nonviolent resistance. Finally, I would like to tell you a story from Buddha. I see this path of position wonderfully realized. It is said of Buddha that he once came to a village and talked to the people, but they insulted him. They just thought his message was stupid. They laughed at him. They mocked him. After a few days, Buddha moved on to other villages. Well, he was going to. And at the end he said to the inhabitants of this village, I will come back then and then again in a few weeks. And if you have any questions then, you can ask me. You understand? The villagers were astonished and also outraged. Hey, Buddha, we insulted and despised you so much. And you tell us you'll come back then and then we can ask you questions? And Buddha replied, Yes, you have despised me. You have mocked me, but I remain me. You can still ask me your questions. That is the position. You no longer make your actions dependent on the reactions and assessments of others. You don't allow yourself to be stopped and held back. At least not for too long if someone wants to steal your handbag or your rucksack, or your self-esteem or your kindness. You see it as a waste of time because she's having way too much fun living your life. Why should you bother with others who want to go down a completely different path? Let them go. Let them be who they want to be. For them, this sentence will always help you when you see someone doing something stupid or, from your point of view, evil. For them, it is the most beautiful and best thing they can imagine. And that is the way of love. Love doesn't have so much to do with constant romantic feelings. Otherwise I would have to answer, hey, do you love me? And then I would say, oh yes, I was so filled with love for you between 7 p.m. and 9:15 p.m., but then the feeling would be gone again. No, the basic attitude of love is that I let the other person be who they want to be. I acknowledge their differences, even if they might like to annoy me or invite me to a fight. But just because he wants to be different from me doesn't mean I have to be like him. Get into that position or don't let yourself get out of it. It's the strongest position because you're like a reactor inside you. You are full of energy, and there is something erotic about energy. It makes you attractive, it turns you into a magnet, and that gives you the best starting position no matter what you want to change.